morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we're back with a third video of the day, second video in quick succession, because a bunch of special decks have been revealed over in Japan, and we need to talk about these. As a side note, I did a video very recently about the new set that was revealed or hinted at over in Japan. Do go check that one out, would you? I don't like releasing videos in such quick succession, but big news came out. We needed to do 2 videos, and I've been casting little regional championships all weekend, so this was the earliest I could get them to you. What we have here is a set of 9 new decks released over in Japan, 1 per generation, each of which has 2 brand new EXs. So I'm going to run through here and I'm going to show you all the new EXs. There's 18 of them. And yeah, I've translated them myself, which I think is quite fun. Now, we'll start off with Gen 1. I'm going to show you the hero visual here for all of them, because there's stunning artwork here that they've gone and made for these, and I think that's brilliant. So the first EX we got here is Pikachu EX, 190 HP, single energy 30, free energy 220. It's not particularly stunning. Oh, and it does 30 to itself, I should say. It's not particularly stunning, but it is a new Pikachu. We've also got ourselves a new Snorlax. Basic Pokemon, 260 HP is gigantic. Free colorless energy 80 isn't great. 4 colorless energy, and you flip 3 coins, and you deal 120 damage for each heads that you flip. If you can flip enough heads here, this is a phenomenal attack, but you should most of the time be flicking between 120 and 240 damage for 4 energy, which is frankly not stunning, but it is kind of cool. Something else that is incredibly cool here is the fact that we've actually got a new Professor's Research for each deck here. So here's Professor Oak, and I will show you all of these as we go through. Gen 2, here's a look at the hero visual. It is stunning. The first EX we've got is Lugia. We got 220 HP basic, free energy, 140, and it's flip a coin till you get tails, and for each heads, you get to discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. It's not particularly good, but we do actually have a proper Lugia EX, which we didn't have before. Tyranitar EX has 340 HP, which is the joint most HP we've seen from any Pokemon in the game, like ever. And we've got single energy, 50 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon, so you can get this up pretty high. And free energy, 150, and you get to look at, well, you get to discard a card from your opponent's hand without looking. So you know what? You can either pile energy on to do big damage, or play a bit of hand disruption. And then we got an Elm Professor's Research here as well. Moving into Gen 3, we've got ourselves a big hero visual of Kyogre and Blaziken. And we've got, obviously, those are the EXs. Kyogre, 230 HP basic, 80 damage. And you may make your opponent switch their active Pokemon, but they choose which one comes active, not you. Still not bad for free energy. 4 energy, 230, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. If you're playing a deck that's accelerating water energy, this is not terrible damage on a basic Pokemon. Just putting that out there. Now, Blaziken might be the best EX of the bunch here. We've got Universal Energy Acceleration. We have got an ability here that once during your turn lets you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. Any Pokemon you like, any basic energy, that's pretty awesome. We've also got 2 energy, 200 damage, and during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Fine attack, but the ability here is what we like with the Universal Energy Acceleration. And then we got ourselves a rather nice Professor Birch there as well, because, you know, well, we're getting one of these for all of them. I kind of made that clear a moment ago. Now, moving into Gen 4, we've got a lovely hero visual of Dialga and Lucario. It was always going to be Lucario. That gets 1,000,000 EXs. 220 HP, single energy, 20 damage, draw a card. Look, turn 1 going second, getting some damage on the board while drawing a card, not too bad. Also like the dramatic artwork here. We've then got free colorless energy, 100 damage, plus 20 more for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. So you get a bunch of metal energy on here. This can add up very quickly, especially for a basic Pokemon. As for Lucario here, with what feels like its 27th different EX, we've got 260 HP, single energy 50, and then 2 energy, 100 damage, and then during your next turn, this attack, only this one, does an extra 100 damage. You don't get to do 150 for a single energy, but you do get to do 200 damage for 2 energy. And then, of course, we have got ourselves Professor Rowan coming in as our Professor's Research of choice. Moving into Gen 5, we have a hero visual of Reshiram and Amoonguss. That tells us what the EXs are going to be. Reshiram was always getting an EX at some point. Is it any good? Well, 220 HP, single energy 40. It's not great. But I will tell you that if you're against something that's weak, this is kind of fun. You know, evolving Pokemon, support Pokemon, etc. And then free energy, 200 discarded energy from this Pokemon. Unfortunately, as we've talked about a lot, 200 is just not enough a lot of the time. Sorry about that. And then, of course, we've got the promised Amoonguss here. 260 HP stage 1. And we got single energy, 30 damage plus sleep. And 2 energy, 100 damage, flip a coin. If heads, it does 80 more. Which, if you flip heads, is quite nice, but it is on a stage 1 and it is flippy. But we do get Professor Juniper as Professor's Research. Might be my favourite one yet. I love Gen 5. This might be my Professor's Research of choice. Over in Gen 6, we have this lovely hero visual of Noivern and Xerneas, and that means we have 2 new EXs. A colourless Noivern, bearing in mind, of course, that this is a flying Pokemon. And we got single energy, 50 damage, and you may switch this Pokemon with the bench. So 50 damage hit and run, but you're not hitting for weakness. Or free energy, 220 plus 30 to itself. And I keep telling you, 220 is a key number. So free colorless energy, 220, not too shabby. As for Xerneas, we got 210 HP, we got 2 energy, 50 damage, and then we got free energy, 120. But if you're against an EX, it does 220. So, for a basic Pokemon, there's a little bit of efficiency there, and the fact that you're hitting that 220 number makes me very happy indeed. And then, of course, our old friend Professor Sycamore, who, like Professor Juniper, used to have their own card that discards your hand and draws 7. Now it's just a new version of Professor's Research, but at least he gets included. Over in Gen 7, we have a lovely hero image of Tapu Koko and Mimikyu, and I do feel a little bit like, of all the generations they were trying to choose from here, this might have been the easiest choice. Tapu Koko and Mimikyu, it just feels like it was inevitable now, doesn't it? But what do the EXs actually do? Well, Tapu Koko here does 60 damage for 2 energy, plus 20 for each of your bench Pokemon. And remember, there is a stadium nowadays that will mean you can have 8 bench Pokemon, so you can get up to 220. As for Mimikyu, we got 2 energy, and what you do is you choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you get to drop 3 damage counters on each of those Pokemon. So you get the 2 energy down, and you're actually spreading a decent amount of damage. Basic Pokemon, only 2 energy. I'm just saying that's not terrible. We then got free energy, 120 damage, and it makes your opponent's active Pokemon confused. So it's not stunning damage, but there is a little bit of disruption there. And then obviously we've got Professor Kukui as our Professor's Research. And seriously, a lot of people are going to be delighted here that they just get a free choice of whatever your favourite professor is in the Pokemon universe. Well, at least in terms of the mainline video games, you've got a Professor's Research to suit. Over in Gen 8, we have this lovely hero visual of Zacian and Alchemy. And that means we're getting a Zacian and Alchemy EX. For Zacian, 220 HP basic, single energy, 20 damage. And you can go and grab yourself a basic metal energy from your deck. and attach it to this Pokemon. Building up for the second attack, free energy 210, but during your next turn you cannot use this attack. You can, however, still use the first attack. You can use that as many times in a row as you like. As for Alchemy, this is another one here that has quite a bit of potential. Free energy 116, no one's getting terribly excited, but we do have an ability there that says once during your turn, you may heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. It doesn't have to be this Pokemon. This Pokemon doesn't have to be active to use it. It's healing anything, and that makes a big difference. And then obviously Professor Magnolia as our professor's research of choice. And then that leaves us with just one generation left to have a little bit of a look at. We have got ourselves a lovely hero visual of Koraidon and Paldean Clodsire. Love that that got the choice. And that means they are our EXs. We've got ourselves a Koraidon here. 230 damage, 2 energy 50, or free energy 100 damage. But if any of your Pokemon have any damage counters on, you get to do 220 instead. We've seen this on Pokemon in the past. It is not the most difficult attack to actually go and pull off. And we've said 220 is a good number to hit. Paldean Clodsire looks delighted. I'm delighted he's here. 280 HP stage 1. And we got 2 energy, 60 damage. And you get to poison your opponent's active, and during your opponent's next turn, they cannot retreat. That is to say, the Pokemon with which you hit this attack can't retreat. And then free energy, 220, and during your next turn, this Pokemon cannot attack. That sounds fine by me. 220 is a good number. And Professor Sada as your professor's research of choice. Only could have one here, couldn't have Sada and Turo, but as soon as you went Koraidon, we're going Ancient, it had to be Professor Sada. All 9 of these decks will be released on Friday the 22nd of November, and they're only costing 850 yen. And look, we've been through this before. These kind of things in Japan do tend to be pretty cheap. 850 yen, you are literally talking about $5.70. It's not very much. There is also a special version which gives you 4 of the 9 decks, only 4 of them, coming out on the same day for 4,620 yen, which does also come with 4 promo foil cards and all sorts of other stuff, but unfortunately we haven't had the best look at it. For now, you know what you need to know. I've told you about the new special set and about these new Generations decks, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these. Tell me which of these you like the most. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about all kinds of Pokemon news and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.